Welcome back for another adventure, and here it is. So this is the Linhai Big Horn, or the Manco Talon, and I think at some point somebody, as I was looking up parts and all, I saw something indicating that there might have been a Yamaha stamp put on this, perhaps not here in the USA, perhaps if they sold it elsewhere. So anyway, what did we, I got as far as figuring out it had compression. The carburetor intake manifold was a mess and I needed a new one. The carburetor seems to be seized up, so I need a new one of those. The battery is dead, so I need a new one of those. It needs a seat, and I also went through the trouble of, just trying to figure out what parts are available or not available and all that kind of stuff. It appears as if for the Linhai 260cc motor, there are some parts available for this. But if you look up any of those names, whether it's Bighorn or Talon or Manco Talon or Manco ATV and all that kind of stuff, I found somebody who was selling a used seat, an entire seat, for $100, but I haven't been able to find like a seat cover. And you could see this seat is to the point where it's been covered twice. So anyway, that's as far as I got. What we're gonna do, I've already drained the gas out of it, and the gasoline was good. I used it to cut the lawn, so it was still good. Anyway, so somebody has attempted to do some good things with this recently. It didn't spend all its time in the barn doing nothing. Anyway, so I got an intake manifold and I got a carburetor for it. These come from eBay, and they were $62. So my next task, I have to put those on and we'll see if it starts up. So stay tuned. Okay, let's get started on this thing. So first thing, you want to get the seat out of the way, obviously. Now we're going to be changing the carburetor, so the air cleaner has to come out of the way. I deliberately, took the two bolts out first so it'll go a little quicker. This is the way I found it, by the way, so obviously it's missing its air cleaner cover. And once again, I already took the clamp off the end of the carburetor, so once again all this stuff could go just a touch quicker. So what's next? Well, let's get the carburetor out of here. Whoa, it's out. Obviously I undid the this is for the choke. It's got one of those automatic ones, and it also has this plug on the bottom. I'm not quite sure what the heck this thing does for a living. I might have to take this apart. Maybe we'll do a rebuild on it just to find out. And I had to take the cable off of here, right? You undo the retaining nuts and it comes right off. So it's all, carburetor's out already. Look at this. You guys are going to be going, man, I watched this YouTube video and the guy made it all look so easy. Well, and here is, we're going to slow down a little bit. I have to get this intake manifold off, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I think I'm on it right there. Yeah, I think that's, no, that's not it. Anyhow, if you follow the tape to its destination, you'll get to the intake manifold. And there's another couple of those Allen wrenches holding it down. A lot of times when I'm looking at these things, I'm always a little curious to, like, I think this was an add-on. Somebody has fooled around with the wiring a little bit. Not horribly. Well, if it doesn't spark, I'm pretty sure I can make it spark, right? I see a blue wire coming out of here. Typically, the blue wire goes to the pulse generator, so I could always make it spark. But anyway, let's keep going. And I don't know, sometimes I think I should stop. With the air cleaner out, you can see the transmission is completely separate from the motor. I mean, it does kind of push against the motor to for belt tension and so forth. You can see where the drive shaft comes out to drive the rear axle. As I'm showing this stuff to you, if anybody could give me the Polaris model for this thing, or what they've copied from Polaris, I would I'd really love to know that information, just in case I need parts, because a lot of times with these Chinese wonders, the ability to get parts or not, or substitute parts or fab parts, could be the difference between your quad running or not. So if anybody recognizes it, I know a lot of people have said Polaris, but if somebody could give me a year and a model number, I would love it. Boy, this thing is built heavy. Wow. All right. Stay tuned for the next episode. Well, here's the next installment. If anybody's going to work on these things, and you're not ready for a complication, you just as soon pass these things up on Craigslist. Let it go, Facebook, or wherever you're looking at them at. So I bought the carburetor, and if you lay them next to each other, first of all, I think you guys could see in there, right? You can see the little K. This is a Kevin, and this one's a Kevin. And actually the fit and finish on both of them are pretty good. They're about the same. But if you look at this is the butterfly for the throttle. See how it kind of pulls out the bottom by where the float is. And if you look at where the float is on this one, you'll see that the cables pull from the top. Would not be that big a deal, but this spacing is also bigger than this spacing, which means I don't have enough cable. So that's kind of problem number one. Problem number two is the throttle is very, very stiff, and it appears as if at some point it was up against the intake or the exhaust manifold or something. It got melted down. So now I have to go on the great search. I could replace this with one from China quad, and quite honestly, this is nothing but a China quad, so it's not like, oh man, you're mixing China junk with Honda stuff. So that's not that big a deal. But you guys could see they have this kind of stuff on it. I guess what I could do, yeah, but then I lose the cable end. I could cut off this turn and put it on there, but unless I cut off the eye and resolder it, that isn't going to be all that helpful. So I'm kind of at a thinking stage here. Both carburetors have that little thing on the bottom. I'm not quite sure what that is. I guess given that they both have it, I might as well install it. I think what I'm leaning toward is putting the new carb on it and seeing if this thing will run, because my assumption is that this thing is going to start right up. I might have to order parts. I might have to order a cable, or find a cable that I can kind of cob into the condition that I want. But there's still more than a carburation issue. I mean, there's the assumption that this thing sparks, right? So I might have to mess with that stuff. And then there's the further assumption that once I pop it into gear, that the thing is going to move, right? It's kind of like, how much money do you want to put into something before you find out you jumped off a bridge with it, right? So right now I have 300 for the entire thing out of my pocket, and I got 62 out of my pocket with the carburetor, and that's, so 362. This thing was on Craigslist for a while before I got it for 300. So it's not really like the guy had people pounding his door down. Oh, let me give you 500 for a not running Manco Talon or Linhai Big Horn. So that kind of tells you what the value is. It's probably worth what I paid for it and not much more. Anyhow, let me spend another few minutes with this, and we'll see where we could go. I think what I'm going to do is put the carburetor on it, see if I have spark, see if it'll start, and then we'll go back to messing with the cable. That's what I think I'm going to do. Hey tubers, it's time to give the Bighorn a start. And the way I normally like to do that is, you know, putting power to the leads and ground wherever it's hiding, and turning on the switch and having the lights go on. In this case, that did not happen. So then it's like, okay, let's do a quick little bit of troubleshooting. And you know, I followed wires from the ignition and so forth, and just quickly, the way this works is you have power come down these leads, and this is your key switch, which is really your main on and an off switch. Normally the power goes to here. From here it goes to here, which, you know, lets you use your starter and your lights and all that other kind of stuff. And also when you turn this on, it powers one side of these light bulbs, and depending on if you're a neutral or whatever, you ground the other side, which lights a bunch of these up. Or if your fan is on or whatever's going on here, normally it's because it's grounded from the other side, and that fires these up. Anyway, after looking at that quickly, I decided, you know, I have a blown fuse, open wire, or a relay that's not grabbing. So let's see what else we can do. The second thing is, okay, let's use the portable ignition box. And all I need for my portable ignition box is a signal coming from the engine, from the pulse generator. And normally that's a blue or yellow wire, and I'm looking right at a blue wire. And then the other, so that's one side of the pulse generator. The other side of the pulse generator should be grounded. So I checked between the blue wire and the metal case all over the place and couldn't find anything. But then I also noticed that the blue wire was traveling with a yellow wire. So I checked between these two, and sure enough, they were related, right? I was able to figure out that those two go together. And then I checked inside on the schematic, and it turns out that they use ground as yellow. But they also use the 3 hot leads coming from the stator there, which makes your AC, which goes to your rectifier, which goes to your battery, goes to your regulator, and goes to your battery. They made those yellow also. They also did some other things, like this is the hot lead, right? You see all the nice red right here. And they have a green wire going to it. So they did not in any way, means, or whatever, follow any conventional wiring with this particular quad. That's scary, because that means everything I want to do on this, I'm going to actually have to search out the wires. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the battery pack to directly engage the starter. I'm going to use my portable CDI pack, right? GY6 CDI, matching coil, and 12 volts worth of batteries right in the box there. I'm going to use those and their pulse generator to get a spark. The throttle, this throttle does not work on that carburetor easily, and this throttle sticks. So I'm probably going to have to make a custom coil, and we'll do that in the future. This series of video is going to end with this one. I just want to get this thing started before I get a storm blowing in. I think some of you guys might hear the wind and some rumbling in the background. That's a storm that's coming my way. So I just want to get this started, and then I can think about building a cable and doing a few other things on another video. So I got my camera stand over here, and let's see if I'm showing you anything worthwhile. I think you're going to be able to see everything. So anyway, let's try to give this thing a start. This is my fuel line. Hopefully you guys could see it right here. And I have gas in it, right? Just trickle some fuel right into the fuel line. Starting fluid. Portable CDI box is on. I'm going to have to reach through to grab the throttle. Okay, so it started. What you heard as the engine kind of warmed up a little bit, it started to run not very good. That's because these things have an automatic choke, and if they're not being electrically heated, so to speak, the choke does not turn off, which means they begin to run rich. Anyway, so it starts, it runs. I got some more work to do before we could see if it moves or anything, and my light's blinking for the battery. So I want to thank everybody for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and get out there and work on an all-terrain vehicle today. Bye now.